Hey everybody, Who's Your Jedi here with another review for you. This time I'm talking about episode 10 of Binbogami Ga. First of all, sorry it took me a little longer than usual to get this episode out. Simple fact is, I was barely home at all this weekend. I was just zipping around all over the place. But anyway, with that said, let's get right into it. This episode, I think that I like this episode a decent bit. It felt like we were sort of really getting back to the little bit more the serious side of the series, like sort of examining the moral questions associated with what's going on, and most importantly, these moral questions of what's going on with Ichiko's actions. Now, our main thing here in this episode is the introduction of. Okay, first of all, if you're watching the same subtitles that I am, the cat in this episode is referred to as Fluffy. Now, in the original manga fan translations that I read, she was called Tama or Tama-chan, and that's what Ichiko calls her in this episode. So, just for the sake of simplicity, I'm going to call her Tama. Okay, if it bugs you, I'm sorry. That's just what I consider the name of the character to be. And the thing about the whole Tama-chan thing is, it's really straight at the top of the cliche names that Japanese people give cats and other kind of cute animals. If you might have heard about a seal some years back that was seen hanging out in Tokyo Bay. Well, the Japanese media dubbed the seal Tama-chan, and even gave the seal honorary Japanese citizenship, which they've also done to Astro Boy, believe it or not. And yeah, let me tell you, folks. From what I read, some of the foreigners who had been living in Japan for quite a long time, and I'm talking like 20 years, and who had not yet been able to successfully go through the process of Japanese citizenship, which is honestly, God, I've read into this, pretty nightmarish. See that slapped on a freaking seal? Yeah, they weren't happy. But anyway, that's not really the point that we're making here. Before I continue on, I should sort of explain to you who are not really super familiar with Japanese culture a little bit about some of the cultural aspects that are associated with this character. And the basic thing is that after her transformation, Tama goes from being a normal cat into a maneki neko. And this is usually translated as a beckoning cat. And this is a symbol. You ever seen Japanese little statues of a cat going like that? Okay, that's a beckoning cat. And they're just considered little good luck charms, symbols of good fortune in Japan. Good luck, fortune, hanging around Ichiko? Yeah. Not exactly subtle, but undeniably fitting. So anyway, the reason why Japanese folks consider this particular symbol, the beckoning cat, to be lucky, well, there's a bunch of different folk tales about all of this. You know, who the hell knows if any of it's true. But the story that I most commonly heard of goes something like this. Way back in the olden days, there was either a lord, a powerful lord, or a famous samurai or somebody like that, who during a thunderstorm took shelter under a tree. Well, you and I know, thanks to PSAs from cartoons from the 1980s, at least in my case, that you should never take shelter under a tree during a storm because trees attract lightning. Well, back in the olden days in Japan, of course, they didn't know that. So this tree happened to be right near a shrine or a temple. Depends on the story. But anyway, the samurai or the lord or whatever is hanging out under this tree, just trying to stay dry, and he sees a cat at the temple start doing the little gesture to him. So he's kind of intrigued, so he goes over there to see what's going on. And just as soon as he gets over to the cat, the tree is immediately struck by lightning and goes. So this rather fortunate individual, he kind of took this as a sign, and he also, being a rather prosperous person, donated a whole bunch of money to the shrine / temple / whatever the hell, and it became extremely prosperous. And so this is why people in Japan consider beckoning cats to be signs of good luck. Now, well, the thing here is that for the most part, the way Ichiko interacts with Tama is meant to show her good side, her compassionate side, and her desire to use her good fortune abilities to help the people that she cares about. But here's the thing, and Ibuki, despite being a poop god and a character you could quite easily dismiss as a joke, he points out to Ichiko that the reason Tama was even in danger in the first place is because of Ichiko's sucking the fortune out of people around her. He even flat out tells Ichiko when she tries to justify her not really doing anything about this by, well, I always save the people that this puts in danger, and he says, well, yeah, you do, but all that really does is make you both the hero and the villain of your own story. And sad to say, he's really got Ichiko dead to rights. Ichiko is being selfish by not giving up this extra fortune. It is literally putting in danger the people around her. Suwano and Ranmaru have almost died, same with Keita's brother. Now granted, in each time Ichiko did save them, but again, they wouldn't have been in danger in the first place if Ichiko wasn't taking all the extra good fortune from them for herself. Now, we've got some minor justification as to why Ichiko doesn't want to have her fortune, besides obviously losing the good things in her life, in that, according to Momiji, if Ichiko does lose her fortune, she's just basically going to end up married to some pathetic loser and completely and utterly miserable for the rest of her life. Now, as I've said in my earlier reviews, I'm sort of skeptical as to how factual that particular future is. As we've seen, Momiji's not really a terribly reliable person, so I don't know why anybody would take what she says about what's going to happen in the future very seriously. But even if that's the case, you can sort of understand why Ichiko might be concerned there. But that just still brings us back to the situation. Can Ichiko really continue on saying and acting like she's not really is really not genuinely doing something really bad and terrible here? Something that is endangering the lives of people that she cares about? And of course, also it begs the question, how infallible is Ichiko's luck? As we've seen, it doesn't seem to be 100%. There is no guarantee that no matter what happens, that Ichiko will be able to always save them. And look at what we've seen with both Tama and Suwano. Suwano had been having his fortune sucked out of him for like 16 years, basically all of Ichiko's life. Tama was a newborn, and Ichiko drawing out her energy almost killed her. So it sort of makes you wonder, is just by being around her also shortening Ranmaru's life? What about Keita? What about, anybody else that she ever forms a really strong bond with in her life? Ichiko, despite, bringing all that good fortune, is, in a way, also their own personal bad luck charm. And I do like that Ibuki flat out even, asked Momiji, you're trying to get Ichiko to really man up, to face what it is. He's basically kind of calling her on the fact that Momiji is sort of there serving as Ichiko's Obi-Wan, her moral guide, rather than just trying to constantly suck the fortune out of her. Here, as I've said, and I have repeatedly done, Momiji has opted to take the role of the Obi-Wan role rather than, Wile E. Coyote constantly trying to catch the Roadrunner. And I think that a lot of it right there is what helps keep this show interesting, and it certainly does add some depth to Momiji as a character. She's more than just this lazy god who sort of sucks at her job. Since I've mentioned him a few times before, let's talk about Ibuki. there's really not that much to say about him beyond this little bit that we say here. We see here. I don't recall. I've read all the manga that's been fan translated, and beyond this little storyline, there really isn't much to him. But I do kind of like the character. I think he's a pretty ridiculous character, but he is certainly an astute character. He makes some very, very pointed observations about what's going on with Momiji and Ichiko. And I do like the twist where it's revealed that he was there to save Tama, not Ichiko. He even says to Ichiko, when she asks him, "Are you here to save me?" he says, "Why would I be here to save a selfish person like you?" And it's getting increasingly harder to say that Ichiko at this point is really being anything but selfish. Now, one thing I did want to comment also about Ibuki is the whole little head shaped like a cartoonish turd thing. Let me tell you a quick story that relates to this from my time in Japan. I went to this Shinto shrine. It was actually attached to Kumamoto Castle, not too far from where I lived for 2 years. And it's actually considered like the third best castle in Japan, and it's actually quite an impressive place. But anyway, I went to the shrine there, and they were selling little charms, as they are wont to do in shrines. But one of the type of charms they were selling was gold-colored, I'm assuming it was plastic, poop shaped like the turd that is Ibuki's head. Now, I want you to stop and think about this. A shrine is selling not flavored. Oh, God. I certainly hope they wouldn't sell poop-flavored anything. They are selling poop-shaped good luck charms. I mean, I want you to stop and think about, like, if a church or a synagogue in America tried to go around selling poop-shaped good luck charms. I mean, people would, to put it bluntly, have a shit fit. But, this is just another interesting example of the cultural values dissonance in Japan, and that we see at work here. One thing that I think might have gone over a lot of people's head is that crazy vacuum cleaner that Momiji shows. She calls it a Dyson, and it's written with kanji. And what is actually a rather clever pun because of the way it's written. It's meant to sound like Dyson, D-Y-S-O-N, which is the name of a major vacuum cleaner manufacturer. Now, the way Dyson is spelled in regards to actual vacuums and the way it's spelled in this episode are different, but it's still a very clever bit of wordplay there. So I just want to bring that to your attention, just so that you folks kind of can enjoy that joke there. Oh, and I think it was Momiji who at one point in the episode muttered in Japanese "mendokuse" or "mendokuse," which is pretty much Shikamaru from Naruto's sort of tagline. Now, it wasn't translated as the official English translation that he does, which is I think it's usually "what a hassle" or something like that. Sorry, I kind of lost interest in Naruto a few years ago, so beyond that, I really can't comment. But I do think that might have been a very subtle nod to Naruto that probably might have gone over the heads of anybody out there who's really not able to speak Japanese. And one final note on values distance. If you pay really close attention when Ichiko and Momiji are arguing with each other at the end of the episode, you can see that Momiji is indeed giving Ichiko the finger. Now, this is something that I've observed during my time, my almost 3 years that I spent living in Japan, and the year and a half that I spent living here in South Korea, is people in those countries are familiar with that gesture and understand that Americans and Western people in general use it in a way to insult each other. What they've seemed to have missed out on is just how serious that is. Now, seriously, I know at least one person who has gone out and literally punched in the face somebody who gave them the finger. And I've had kids here, and in Japan, students of mine who honestly thought they were just playing around give me the finger. And I got to tell you, folks, I didn't care for it. In fact, my immediate reaction has always immediately to begin to go get one of the native teachers, haul them over there, and make sure that they give the kid a very, very stern lecture on why you should never, ever, ever do that again. And to a kid, every single one of them has genuinely had no idea that that's some serious insult that they're throwing around here. They've literally been, I've literally seen kids recoil when it was explained to them just how far they'd crossed the line. Of course, the fact that I was usually standing there just completely and utterly giving them the if looks could kill glare probably helped a little bit. One thing I'm actually happy to say that over the years I've learned how to do during the time I've spent as a teacher is how to develop the look. Folks, I love it. I love that I can do this. I love that I can just look at a kid and have them crumble. I know that might seem like a horribly cruel thing for a teacher to say, and I don't do it to be cruel. Although I won't. It's just sometimes necessary, and just the fact that I won't lie, it is sometimes kind of a little bit of fun knowing that you can make a kid sort of you can cow a kid with just a look. It's definitely boy, there's really just no way I can put that in a good way. Well, anyway, anybody who's a teacher, you know what I'm talking about. So I'm just going to leave it there before I say something that could get me in trouble down the line. So anyway, folks, that's all for this episode. Until next time, as always, please comment, rate, and subscribe. And you can, of course, follow me on Twitter at Hoosier Jedi. And until next time, take care and have a good one.